Hello everyone and welcome to a beginner's guide for Cricket Captain 2023. Now, if you are a new player to the game of Cricket Captain, it can honestly be quite scary, quite overwhelming. Jumping into the game, there's numbers in your face. What do these numbers even mean? Where do I even begin? And so today I am here to walk you through how to actually play the game, at least from a beginner's standpoint. What does everything mean at the start and where should you go? What menu goes where? We'll begin from the bottom actually and make our way up. If you push the help button, it gives you the welcome screen for the game once again. If you've seen this before, it basically tells you the overview of what's changed between games. You know, more updates are coming in the coming months. It's integrated with Dropbox and all that good stuff. You read this normally when you begin the game, but you can also click it here anytime if you need. Here are the options, obviously, for the game. If you click options, you've got highlight sounds if you want that. If you want commentary for when you see players playing shots or the highlights of the game, you can obviously have commentary on or off. You have whether the game's going to default to your user-defined fields or not. You have reverse score text. So if you like 1 for 8 versus 8 for 1, you can click that. And then obviously you've got things like Dropbox, shadows, and all the other stuff like that. The internet game is if you want to play Cricket Captain online. You can push load game to load any of your save files at any time. You can push tournament mode if you want to play a one-off sort of tournament. So if you want to, do the England versus Australia 2023 Ashes, you can do that here. You can do the One Day World Cup and all that sort of stuff. One-off tournaments that once you reach the end, that is the end of the tournament. Then, of course, you've got the most scary part of all, the career mode. Starting a new game or starting a new career mode / save file. It depends what you want to call it. Officially, it's called a career mode. So it says, please select your game mode. Now, if you're new to the game, you might just be like, oh, I'm from New Zealand, I'll jump in here. But what you won't understand very quickly here is there's actually an international career where you only play as your international country. You don't play any domestic cricket at all. And then there's the normal, like, New Zealand career where you play domestically and then you can play as well for your nation of choice. That doesn't actually necessarily have to be New Zealand. When you click this, you can actually play for your national team for England straight away. You can do things like you could start with the captaincy straight away, so aka you're playing with England straight away, or you can actually decide to earn it and so it turns up later in your career mode. If you're starting a brand new save of Cricket Captain, you actually have 3 types of skill level. The first one is very easy. The second one is easy, and the third one is normal. Normal is, it's basically easy, medium, hard, if you will, or easy, normal, hard. It doesn't really matter. Normal is basically the normal version of the game, which is the hardest version of the game. And then very easy is obviously quite easy, and then easy is just a little bit harder than very easy. It seems pretty self-explanatory, but just in case you didn't understand how the skill levels work, there you go. If you want to play only one match type, you can just uncheck the ones that you don't want to play. That means that if you are coaching, let's say, England, and you only have T20 International selected, anytime a test match happens, the team gets auto-picked by the AI and it gets simulated immediately. So you don't get to have any say on how the test team or the one-day team is going. They kind of just play in the background, and then you get given the T20 team. Once you actually jump into a career mode for Cricket Captain 2023 or any Cricket Captain game in general, you will see a lot of options here. A lot's going on, a lot's in your face. But straight away, I'm just going to break it down super easy for you all. These are the latest scores. Games that have been played in the last 2 weeks will all be shown here. So you can click on them. You can see the scorecards for them, who did well. You can even go into details such as what partnership happened and all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty cool to see if you're trying to look at how your international side's doing or just curious on how someone won by 1 wicket. You can click on the score and see. Otherwise, you can go to your team details. These are your current players that are contracted for your team for the current year or heading into the current year. So obviously it says contracts down the bottom right here for me. This team will shift around depending on how I go in my contracts period that I'm about to go through right now. If you want to go through each individual player profile, you just click player profiles and it turns up with one of your players. You can click on the top, kind of scroll around. You can also use the arrows. You can, look at the current year, last year, lots of numbers. So whatever sort of numbers you want, you can find them here. It is scary stuff, but once you know what you're looking for, it's a lot easier. If you're just looking for like how they've done in the past couple of years so that you can see whether they're going to do well this year or not, there you go. Otherwise, you've got batting form. You can click on batting form and it shows you their past 12 innings that they've played against whichever team is listed below. So, versus Otago, Central Districts, Wellington, 100 not out for Simon Keane against Northern Districts. And the bowling form as well is the same sort of thing. If you want more details on form, I can answer your questions down in the comments section, and I can also make a different video in the future for that, so don't worry too much about that. But you can find your batting and bowling form here. You can also click the personal tab, and you can also see things like how many years left on someone's contract, what their salary is, how long they've been playing international cricket for or domestic cricket for, where they like to bat and bowl down here, how aggressive they are, etc, etc. You've got the coaching and physio there at this point in the season, obviously not available because I've only just started. If you want to change your pitch for home matches, you can do so here. You've got the player records, so that's all domestic players within New Zealand. So if I click all players and sort by runs, these are, the players with the most amount of first class runs. Actually, not in New Zealand because that's domestic players here, but if I click all players, this is all around the world. And obviously Alistair Cook's still playing and he's got 26,600 runs. It's pretty impressive. And you can also sort by wickets at the top. If you click anything at the top here, it will sort by that from the top. So if you want someone with a high strike rate, there you go. If you want someone with the most wickets, you can just click that there as well. Domestic tables just shows you where you are on the current season based on which competition you're looking at. You can also click things like rules and view stats at the bottom here. And you can also click on here and see the knockout stage and see what that looks like. Sometimes it's different depending on which tournament you're playing in. If you want to have a look around on any of your international teams, your own or otherwise, if you want to see how Ireland are doing this year, for example, you can go around and again, click on the scorecards and whatnot. You can see the world rankings here by clicking on the bottom, Test Match, One Day, T20, and then the batters, bowlers, and all-rounders as well, which is a new addition for Cricket Captain 2023. And lastly, the Test Championship and the One Day Championship as well. There you go. To see if you're going to qualify for the World Cup or not. Because in this game, there is no such thing as qualifiers in the one-day stuff. So if you finish in the top 10, then you qualify for the World Cup. If you finish first, you host it. I don't know. I'm not sure why it's cutting off at first place. Nonetheless, there it is. And obviously, if you finish top 2 in the Test Championship, you make the final. If you want details on how to do your contracts, I have done a few videos for those in the past. Definitely go check them out in the description. I've got a full playlist and I go into all sorts of depth around tips and tricks on what to look out for, who you should be signing, and how to help compose your team together so you can actually win some trophies and competitions throughout your career modes. Link down in the description for that. Now let's change things up really quickly and look at the numbers around selecting a squad, because as a beginner, you click on your favorite international team, you jump in, you pick select squad down the bottom right, and then all these sort of numbers jump at your face and you're thinking, where do I even begin? Why are there players in blue? Why are there players grayed out? What's going on? So quickly you can see if anybody's fitness bar is at the lowest, which is Kane Williamson here, it means that if you click on personal, you can see status. He's out for 39 weeks with his ACL injury in this game. You're not going to be able to pick him for 39 weeks because the game will even say, there you go, he's been added to your selection, but he's out 39 weeks. There's no point in picking him. Now, at the top here, you will actually be able to see your current selected squad. This is a squad that's kind of just been produced by the AI, just as a default squad of just probably what the last 11 or so players that was selected for New Zealand was, and then it's just chucking it into the screen here to basically say, do you just want to pick the same squad that you had last time? Now, if you don't want to select any of these players, or you want to select some new players, you go across to the available players and you can see all players available for selection for New Zealand. Whether they're playing overseas or not, it does not matter. If they're eligible to play for New Zealand, they will be here. However, you can see down the bottom, it's actually sorting by T20 international players. So if they haven't played a T20 international game, they will not be on this list. Now, obviously that's not ideal because if you're picking for a New Zealand T20 series against Sri Lanka, you want to be able to pick from everyone in the country. So you can click T20 here and you then can sort by runs and then you can see everyone in the country in terms of their career stats on how they're doing. Obviously you do good stuff like current year, which obviously no one's played a game yet. Should people have played games, you can see that. Maybe even just go last year. This is probably a better indication. Who did really well in the last 24 months? You can kind of scroll around here and see the form of everyone. The main numbers you're looking for here as a beginner for Cricket Captain are the averages. The one that's sorted by bat here, you can click that, see the highest batting averages. You want players who are going to get lots of runs and lots of wickets, essentially. So you want to also then, if you're going to go for bowlers, sort by bowl. And that's a bowling average here. So that the lower, the better. And the opposite for batting, the higher, the better. The higher, the more runs you score on average, and the more wickets you take at a lower average, the better. And so it's very easy to sort by here. You're kind of ignoring numbers like overs, catches per match. I mean, you're not going to look at that. You're just mainly looking at wickets, bowling average, runs, batting average, and then obviously taking into account strike rate if for things like T20s. You can see how many players you've selected in the top right because it says selected 13 out of 15. The number of 15 though will actually vary depending on whether you're playing your series at home or away from home. If you're playing away from home in a big test series, you actually might get to select up to 18 players, I think it is. But as soon as you're playing a test match series at home, you only need to carry around 13 at a single time, and then actually pick and drop players between test matches. But if you're playing away from home, you have to fly all 18 players over, and therefore you're actually not really able to change your squad too much between games. So I think it's actually locked in once you begin the tour away from home. Once you've moved on to the coaching screen here, you want to be looking at the top right and the top left. At the top left, you have 8 coaching sessions and 2 fielding sessions with 2 physio sessions included as well. The fitness on the right-hand side shows the fitness of the players. The lower that fitness bar is, the more likely they are to get injured or how close they are to basically being injured. So all the players that are lower than usual, or if all the fitness bars are level, your most important players, because you don't want them to get injured, then you could just give them a physio session by clicking on a player and going down the bottom, it says extra physio. Everyone gets a standard physio by default, but if you want extra physio to keep their fitness up, click on that player, click on the physio, and there you go. You can see the little plus sign on the left there. If you're managing an international squad, most of the time, you don't worry too much about batting technique and specialization. You kind of leave that to domestic sort of teams, and you just go straight for bowling practice, straight for batting practice. Get more form, because that's exactly what those things do. They just increase your match form, because once you click on a player, you can see there's a match form percentage on the top left, 27% here, and a coaching effect. So the more coaching you give to a player, the more that helps their overall form meter. However, their match form is taken into account for that. So if they're doing really, really badly in the matches, you're going to have to do a lot of work with your coaching to try and push that form bar up. I will actually do a more detailed guide for this in another video, that's for sure, in the future. The last thing I will explain is the icons next to the players' names on the left here. So you've got that ball in the ear, and this is basically Matt Henry, Ben Lister, Adam Milne, Ish Sodhi. They are the bowlers. Mark Chapman is just a regular batter, so he's a middle order batter. And then any player with the bat and the O, the green O symbol, are opening batters. They prefer to open at the top. Usually this happens with the T20 teams. In this game, a lot of people prefer to open, and obviously that can't happen, but it doesn't usually affect performance too much, I've found. Ideally, if you have a couple of first choice openers, you pick them as your openers first up, and then everyone else kind of slides down. You've obviously got a wicketkeeper opening bat here with Tom Latham and Tim Seifert. Finn Allen has the gloves as an opening batter with the bat. So he is an opening batter, but he is a part-time keeper. So if somebody gets injured, Finn Allen can keep if needed. But he's not the best keeper, but he's a worse keeper than he would be if you gave Tom Latham or Tim Seifert the gloves. They are proper keepers. He's just a part-time keeper. If you have the bat and the ball with Mitchell, Neesham, and Shipley, these guys are all-rounders. And obviously, Ravindra at the top here is an all-round opening batter. That is going to be the beginner's guide for Cricket Captain 2023. This is, of course, applicable to any Cricket Captain game, unless they make significant changes in the future, in which case I will do a brand new video for that. If you want any questions answered at all, or if you want another video like this, let me know your suggestions for what I should do next down in the comments. And until next time, everyone, take care.